We've got Steve Harmison in the building as well. England have gone 2-0 down to Australia. I wonder whether or not we're heading for a Ashes series whitewash. It's been a little bit of a difficult watch so far, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. I didn't think anybody could lose the Ashes quicker than Nasser Hussain did in 11 days in 2002-03, but I think Ben's going to be well on his way to do that. Adelaide is flatter. It's going to suit England's game a little bit more. The bounce of the ball is not as prominent as what it is at Perth or at Brisbane. So the likes of Crawley and Pope, who have been in trouble by driving on the up, all this stuff that's been sort of labelled at the top six batters, that won't be as challenging. But mentally coming back from this is going to take some doing. If anybody can, I think this team has proven that because they've lost games in such spectacular fashion before and bounced back, but not in Australia.
This spectacular fashion that England play in, the Bazball with the Stokes-McCullum era, has come under an enormous amount of scrutiny because ultimately, although it's been effective in certain parts of the world, it's been reckless, hasn't it, this time around?
Well, I think I've described them over the last sort of 48 hours that they're a good side and they'll never be a great side, because great sides, when they're put under pressure and when they're playing in the big series, India at home, Australia at home, India away, Australia away, they're the big series. Back in, the people I've been criticising the likes of Sween Botham, the likes of Jeffrey Boycott and people like that, when they were around, it was the West Indies. The Australia side wasn't as strong. So you're judged on what happens in the Ashes, you're judged on what happens against India if you want to be a great side. And England, so far against them sides, they've been in the series and then made monumental mistakes, spectacular losses, bounced back in the series, but ultimately never won the series. So that for me is why they're going to be a good side and not a great side. I love watching this team. I mean, from where England were before Ben took over and Brendan took over, England were in dark place. I think now they're more entertaining. They're more likeable characters. I mean, there's some of the nicest guys you'll meet, these players. But unfortunately, it doesn't look as though it's getting home when under pressure, it doesn't seem as though they handle it. It's either hit out or get out. And unfortunately, the get out bit against, I'm not going to call them an average Australia side, but it's not a great Australia side. And that, for me, is what's disappointing me more than anything else. 2-0 down at this moment in time.
Do we take anything? I mean, most people forecast that the second test, because it's a pink ball test, that Australia would have the ability to win this game. And obviously we were talking about the fact that no one's lost a pink ball test when they've scored more than 260, besides the Australians against the West Indians in the first innings. Do we take anything from these games? Can we take anything? In the first test, it was the batsmen didn't do their job. In the second test, it's the bowlers haven't done job. We went into the second test with feeling that our bowlers have done a decent job. In the second test, our bowlers are coming under criticism. So it's both ends of the spectrum. Yeah. Do we take anything from these two tests?
And the fielding was bad.
The fielding was bad. And it comes back to, I mean, what Brendan said is just mind-boggling. It really is. I don't think England were prepared enough going into that first test match. And what happens is when you're not prepared, you're always playing catch-up. And all of a sudden, you know it's like when I go to like pre-season. If you miss a pre-season, all of a sudden, your player that misses the whole pre-season, you'll not see the best out of him until game 4, game 5.
But are they match ready now, though, having had this under their bonnet? I know they're
I know they're 2-0 down. That's the problem, and this is the problem. But this is what I'm saying about
psychological challenge.
Your question you're asking, Simon, is, what do we take out of this? We take out of this that Archer's got 45 overs under his belt.
Yep.
Carter's got 45 overs under his belt. Will England pick them again for Adelaide? That would be the challenge. If they go Tongue and Potts in, all of a sudden we're back to square one and giving bowlers who haven't been prepared enough. So these is the challenges of the next sort of 10 days, getting that past them. But the one thing I will say about Ben Stokes, he looked not a broken man, he looked an upset man at the end of it. And that, for me, is something I've not seen in 3 and a bit years from Ben Stokes. So this is hurting him big time.
And that is something that he sort of came across like during the post-match press conference, more subdued than maybe usual, when he sort of almost questioned that the dressing room might be lacking character.
Saying that teams who come to Australia can't be, soft or weak, whatever it may be, because that's how it is out here. It is a tough place to come, but I see it as there's no room for that in a dressing room that I'm in charge of. So yeah, double-edged thing there. Can come to Australia and be weak, but you also can't be in my dressing room if you are. And there is none of that. We pick people on ability and skill, but we also pick people on character and mentality. So a few things that obviously need to be addressed when I think on that, but I know deep down that we've got characters who I know that can stand up to what we've got to do over the next 3 games.
A few things need to be addressed on that. What is he trying to say about the dressing room?
I think he's singling out one or two without actually mentioning their names. The end of day 2, Jofra Archer bowling 138, 139, and then bowling 150, 151, bowling 95 mile an hour at Steve Smith's head when the game's finished. Even Steve Smith, I don't know if you've seen the passage of play. Steve Smith, Archer bowled him a bouncer at 95 mile an hour. Smith hooked him and just turned around to him and said, "There's no point bowling fast when the game's done, champion." And that rattled Archer. Bang, in he came, 95 mile an hour. A lot of the commentators are going, "Oh, this is box office. Australia need 20 to win. Where was this on day 2?" I think that's what Ben's saying to his team. When the game and the big moments are in, go through the whole lot. England dropped 5 catches. When the game was tight, Smith took a great one-handed catch down. English run Stokes out on day 1. Alex Carey standing up the stumps. All these big moments that when you're fully tuned and you're doing the basics right and your team is prepared, ready for it, I think that's when you win the big moments. England dropped 5 catches, they're losing 2-0 in 6 days. And I think that's largely down to the way they've gone into this series. Did they think they were better than Australia? Did they go into this blasé and think we didn't have to do as much as we needed to do? All these questions.
Well, Ben Stokes was saying they spent 4 years strategically planning every step of the way going into these tests. So what on earth happened in their preparation that they were so poor? Because they just don't look match ready.
The 4 years preparation, there's a lot happens in them 4 years. It's not as though you're just waiting to go. The pitches have changed in Australia. 4 years ago, pitches were flat. You needed fast bowlers. There was a great tweet from a guy who said, England have got so much disregard. ECB has so much disregard of county cricket because somebody running up and bowling with a wicketkeeper stand up at 78 mile an hour. That's no good in Test cricket. Michael Neese has just done that and got 5 from blowing England away. Australia's pitches changed in two of the last 4 years to pitches that are doing a bit. So I think you've got to be fluid with them plans. England have gone there with a fast bowling artillery and 7 batters who they've stuck with. And unfortunately, their bowlers weren't ready and had enough overs under their belt going into that first and second test. And their batters, unfortunately, on them wickets, have let Stokes and McCullum down because they've backed them. And unfortunately, they haven't performed. Simple as that.
Is there a case of maybe believing too much in the sort of their own philosophy of how to operate? Because Geoffrey Boycott, in the latest Telegraph column, it's Sir Geoffrey, said that Brisbane was a horror show, irresponsible batting, bowling too short, too wide or too full, catches dropped. The Australian team was there to be beaten, but somehow after just 6 days of Ashes cricket, it is all over and England need a miracle. England talk the talk but can't walk the walk. With this sort of batting and bowling, they couldn't win an egg cup, let alone the Ashes urn. Ben Stokes said England had a blueprint. They'd been planning this tour for 4 years and they know what they're doing. What a load of bull. We can't believe anything Ben or his team say. None of them want to listen to anyone outside of their own camp. They're up their own backsides, convinced that Test cricket has changed so much that they are the only ones that know anything about the modern game.
I don't think he's too, as much as me and Geoffrey have had our words in the past, a bit like you two.
Don't know what you're talking about.
I can't disagree with too much of what Geoffrey's saying there. I can't. England have got a little bit of arrogance about them. Ben doesn't like them being called arrogant, but they have got some arrogance about them.
Have they convinced
this might be a wake-up call for them, because at the end of the day, what I think Ben and Brendan and Rob Key and the ECB, their outlook over planning, like Martin said, for 4 years, that press conference that we've just seen with Ben Stokes, that might be Ben thinking, right, we might not be as good as what we think we are.
But have they convinced themselves that the game has changed so fundamentally that they had to almost reinvent the wheel here, and then they've got to that point where they've realised actually it hasn't changed as much as we thought and we've gone too far?
There's a bit of both. There's a bit of two things in that, Sam. I think they had convinced themselves, but I think what they've done is is the
Because they've rode it back a little bit. Yeah.
what I think they've done is I think they've just not done the basics. And I think what you have to do in international sport is if you want to push your agenda, if you want to push your team and your persona and your arrogance or your confidence on a team, you have to earn the right to do that. And I think that comes down to basics, hard work, and making sure that all of a sudden you're putting the opposition under so much pressure that they're crack, then you go. I think England are missing steps 1, 2, and 3 and just going straight to 4 and 5. And I think that is fundamentally the problem with this team.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Steve Harmison is part of our team throughout the course of the Ashes. And for all your Ashes content, you can subscribe to the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel and the Following On podcast feed.